Hello everyone, welcome to the latest e-commerce explored webinar, a topic I know many of you have been waiting eagerly for us to be covering. It is TikTok and TikTok Shop, strategies for e-commerce sales growth. I have no idea what we're going to end up talking in this one because there's so much we could cover, which is why I am going to try and keep my intro super short. She says completely ignoring her script and thus inevitably leading to it going on for far longer than it should. So let's get the script up. And let's do this properly. So there is loads for us to talk about. So I'm going to whip our way through the housekeeping. We love to answer your questions. I know there's several of you already signed in. So on the right hand side next to this video, there should be a comments area where you can add your questions for us. Let's give that functionality a test. Could you add in where you're joining us from in that chat? And that will feed through to me and the panelists. That would be awesome. Panelists, feel free to join in with that if you want to as well. And the other key thing about that area, whilst we wait for some updates to come through, is start adding your questions now, because the sooner you ask your questions, the more chance there is of me asking the question of the panel, because I've got a feeling there's going to be plenty of questions coming in on this one. And then secondly, quite often you'll get an answer from one of the panelists in the chat whilst we're live. So that's rather cool as well. You'll get, like, there's a whole other discussion going on in there. So well worth keeping an eye on that if you're live with us. And a huge thank you to our session sponsors, SHOPLINE and TikTok Ads. Great to have you involved with this. You can find out more about both of them on the page where you're watching this. Now, who's joining me to discuss this? Well, talking of SHOPLINE, we've got the brilliant Deepak Anand from SHOPLINE joining us. We've got Gisela Benini from Genie Goals, and we've got Ben Muir from Unsocialble. And there's me, your host, Chloe Thomas, Chief Success Strategist at Emetco Media and host of the eCommerce MasterPlan and Keep Optimizing podcast. But I'm really on this one here to learn and ask the questions. We have our experts with us. So in the interest of keeping that bit short, let's get our brilliant experts up onto the stage and get them to welcome us. Oh, we got I was covering over the comments. So we've got Florida, Glasgow, Romania, Windsor, and London covered so far. I think we managed 4 continents a few of these ago. So let's see how many more we can get. And we've already got a question coming in, which is awesome. Right, before that, you need to know who our panelists are. So we'll start with you, Gisela, then we'll go to Ben and then Deepak. Could you please let the audience know a little bit about you and the business you work for?
So my name is Deepak Anand. I'm the general manager for SHOPLINE India. We are an e-commerce platform. And I've set up a TikTok account with my son for his journey a couple of years ago, and he's got close to 700 followers. So it's basically Anand's journey. So if you can just follow him, would be great.
Awesome, thank you, Deepak. And we'll go to Ben next.
Reverse order, Chloe. Anti-clockwise. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on today, and it's great to be with 2 amazing panelists. I'm the founder and CEO of Unsocialble. We're one of the top-rated TikTok Shop partners in the UK. We just recently launched in the US, and we're opening European markets as well. And we are a full-service operation on TikTok Shop exclusively. That's our focus area.
Very cool. And Gisela, last but definitely not least.
Thank you, Chloe. So hello, everyone. I'm G. I'm a paid social strategist. I work for Genie Goals. I spent the last few years helping brands to smash on paid social through smart decisions, strategy, and content. So if you ever wonder why your super high, amazing content that never brought you a sale, and then your 10 seconds content that was filmed on iPhone, if that performed well, so that's my word.
Very cool. Thank you. So everybody, as you can see, we have some super knowledgeable and very cool panelists with us. So do keep those questions coming in. We've had one from Dennis so far, which we're definitely going to get to. And I think we've just added another continent to our audience because we've got Errol here from the UAE. Great to have you all here and watching. So regular viewers will know, oh, we've lost Deepak for a bit. Oh, Deepak's back. Cool. Love it. Love it. Proves we're live, everybody. Proves we're live. Okay, so regular viewers will know that I like to, rather than go straight into kind of Q&A, I like to pose a few questions and statements and tasks to our panelists to get the ball rolling. So I thought we'd start off with a little one. the teeny tiny one, which is, I'd like each of you to complete this sentence. What is the biggest opportunity on TikTok and TikTok Shop in 2025? Is insert here. Gisela, I will come to you first for this one. What's your take on the biggest opportunity at the moment with TikTok?
Live shopping, I think that is a very nice and genuine way to connect with your community, and no other platforms give you the same experience. So if you have the right product and if you engage in the right way with the audience, live shopping is a gold mine for you.
And that's live shopping done by the brand themselves?
Yes, it can be done by partnership, collabs, and influencers as well. So it's testing and finding the best approach for you. But the idea of showing your product live, answering those questions when they come, it's amazing. It's a great opportunity for every brand.
Awesome. If you want to know more about live shopping, then get asking us questions about that, because there's a lot of TikTok we could cover, and we've only got an hour to cover it all in. Ben, what's your take on the biggest opportunity in TikTok and TikTok Shop in 2025 is?
So I totally agree with Gisela that lives is a massive opportunity. One you may not immediately think of is your product strategy. The brands that are absolutely killing it on TikTok through organic content and TikTok Shop, they think social first, when all the way back at like product ideation stage, all the way through branding, and then they know what their creators want to see and eventually their audience wants to see. So it's thinking about that from like day dot. That's the biggest opportunity, and it's an opportunity that a lot of big corporate brands are missing but starting to adopt.
So a more full and encompassing strategy with it all, basically.
Yeah, just thinking about that at the initial stage, like if you look at the most viral brands on TikTok Shop, especially the ones that aren't driven by price, then what you'll see is bright, colorful packaging, really unique USPs with the products, even if it's not. Like you think of like brands like The Ordinary, The Inculus, like super scientific, doesn't need to necessarily be bright, colorful, but they have thought about social first.
Very cool. So the whole company changing because of the opportunities on TikTok. And Deepak, how would you complete the sentence?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the reason of joining Shopline is all about the social first platform, right? I mean, it is. It's an Asian platform, and the way they shop in Asia is all about live shopping, as I completely understand. And I think what we have learned from TikTok over the past couple of years, I've been kind of following very closely the TikTok because of our strategic partnership, is about the data they have. And then I don't want to use the word AI, but I'm sure I would love to know from Ben, how is he implementing AI into TikTok? I mean, that's the big thing which all our merchants are asking about, Chloe. But to answer your simple question, is definitely social first. Because all the millennials right now have their credit card and they want to spend it, and they spend 4 to 6 hours on TikTok or any other social channel. And I think it's a significant opportunity. If you're not on there, you need to. It's day to day.
Yeah, it's that kind of, it builds quite nicely on what Ben was saying. It's that way in which TikTok is changing the industry, which is therefore changing how we deliver everything. I'm slightly tempted to go on to our next question I've got on the slides, but I think I'm going to bring in our first question from the audience at this point, because it directly relates to opportunities on TikTok and TikTok Shop. So let's get rid of the slide deck for a minute, and let's get Dennis Hodges' question up here, which is: for a startup CPG company with limited financial resources, what's the most effective TikTok strategy? CPG, for those watching, if you're old like me, it's FMCG. If you're young, it's digital shelf. And basically, it's consumer product goods, the stuff you see in a supermarket, which I'm sure many people would shoot me for simplifying it that much. But just in case anyone's wondering what on earth we're talking about with CPG. So who fancies giving this one a go? Ben? Oh, Gisela's got a hand up, so we'll go to Gisela first.
Well, I was going to say, sorry to like jump in there, but what if Dennis gave us a little bit more information on the brand, and then we gave him like a proper quick fire like strategy, if he told us like what the product was?
Yeah, whilst Dennis is doing that, Dennis, if you can give us a bit more info, that would be very, very cool. Love that idea. Thank you, Ben. Gisela, what would your take on this be?
Yeah, first of all, Ben is really right about it. So let's understand a little bit more about the product. But in general, what I see as a good thing to do when you're starting on TikTok Shop and you have some limited financial resources is to jump into TikTok Affiliates, which is a program from TikTok where you can work with influencers, and then you will pay then by commission. So it's not that you need to upfront anything, and that is very good also to start creating a real relationship with the influencers and affiliate marketing, and then those that sell better for you, you can have better percentage for them, and then you start building from that.
Yeah, the affiliates piece is such a cool place to start. It's so low risk and so low risk in terms of cost, but also in terms of effort put into the creative. Okay, we've had Dennis came back initially, and I'm going to share this because I think it's really important to see Ben's thinking on this. So Dennis came back with granola, and Ben went, no, I need more than that. Tell me your USP, because it is such a complex space. You have to understand these extra details. So Dennis has given us a bit more. So gluten-free, grain-free, just nuts granola, no peanuts, no soy, even no oats, no added sugar. Ben, what would you say would be the way to make an effective TikTok strategy for this startup CPG company?
So I'd definitely be building on what Gisela said, and I'd be seeding to affiliates. For this instance, I'd be thinking about like health conscious affiliates, which there's a ton of, who do a lot of sales volume on the platform. And then I'd be going in with a slightly higher commission rate than what my competitors are doing. There's different ways of finding that, and kind of being okay with losing a bit of margin in the first instance, Dennis, because what you're going to do here is you're not going to have to spend any money. You're just going to send out product samples, and then you're going to get your content back in exchange for commission. And if you've got limited financial resources, then you can work really closely and spend your time working with a smaller group of affiliates and help them make good content, really teach them about the product and the USPs. And then what they're going to do is go and make that content. And because they're working on commission, they work a little bit harder than a traditional influencer would. You don't need to put any money up front, and then you just get the proceeds of sales. You can keep reinvesting that in your TikTok Shop affiliate program and continue to scale it. So it's actually a great place for the position that you're in to start, is to do what Gisela said, go heavy on TikTok Shop affiliates, do what I said, and work really closely with that group of affiliates that you get. Make sure you pick ones that align with the brand and the USPs that you've just listed there. And I think you'll get some traction pretty quickly.
Awesome answers there. Thank you both. We've got some more questions coming, which is great. Deepak, I'm going to not let you answer that because I want your take on my next question, if that's all right, which is what's the biggest, complete the sentence. The biggest challenge with TikTok and TikTok Shop in 2025 is, and just for the benefits of the audience, I have banned all talk of politics, tariffs, and any of that from this. So if you're going, none of them are mentioning potential bans. We're not talking about it. We are talking about stuff you have control over and that you can actually do something about. So on that basis, Deepak, what do you think the biggest challenge with TikTok and TikTok Shop is?
I think Ben has answered the question. I think when Dennis answered granola, right, you need to know we call it an ICP, or you need to know your USPs, right? I think we work with body care online, and we know the InTheStyle and all these type of things. So InTheStyle is always talk about the celebrities, and body care talk about all the kind of the products they have. But I think the key here is that the product, what they're selling, why on TikTok, and what is the demographic. They need to nail down that thing. This is why we recommend because we are not an expert on TikTok, we recommend Ben and other agencies, mostly Ben, 90% of the time, 99% of the time. Ben, we love you. So basically, we recommend Ben to help all our customers with the TikTok strategy. But even if I think about this thing, we are actually heading back in 2001, where the brands are becoming like, they need to start thinking about why they exist. Is it because of the product, not because of the technology, right? Chloe, we had a number of conversations, because I think that those days were gone when they were thinking about, oh, we are a technology company. They are a product company. They need to know their product, and they need to know why. Because I was in a conversation with Innocent Smoothies, right? The CEO recently, and he was talking about that why they exist, because of their brand name is Innocent. They don't do any any kind of ingredients, which is just all fresh elements in there. So this is why, I mean, they know their USPs. And I think that's where the biggest challenge is from my perspective. Ben, what do you think?
Just before Ben comes in on that one, I just want to say I think you're completely spot on with that, Deepak, and it's something we're seeing across the whole of e-commerce at the moment, but gets shone into a really strong spotlight in areas like TikTok and meta ads, where you've got to get the creative right to hit the right people. So if you don't know what you are and what the product is, you can't create the creative that leads to you can't brief the influencers, the creators, create the creative. So I love that perspective. But I had a quick follow-up for you, Deepak, which was, as you're coming, you're involved on the platform side of this with lots of people. I would assume the biggest challenge for a lot of people is getting the tech integrations, the shop integration and the inventory working and the stock counts. And that's, like the nitty gritty stuff would be a challenge.
I think that is a big challenge. But what we have seen also, Chloe, you'll be surprised that they set up their store on TikTok and then they realize that they need a stock management solution. Because what they do is that sitting at home, they start selling product and suddenly it's gone big. And then they realize they need to set up an e-commerce store so that they can generate more revenue. So we are talking two ways street here, right? One is like coming TikTok as the first channel and SHOPLINE is the other. Where exactly we are helping is that SHOPLINE should be the one so that you can have different opportunities in different channels. And then TikTok is one of the channels where you can make revenue, right? And exactly the challenges that the inventory, the data, the images, right? One of the biggest challenges is the images, right? So you cannot have the same images which you have it on your website on TikTok, right? So we have a lot of, and they think that it should be there and it's not there, it's not uploaded properly. So you need to make sure all these things work before you even, because once this is exactly, I mean, it's been going on for years. Like if you don't have a great experience on any shop, they're not going to go back. So we need to make sure from day one you provide that.
Yeah, and I always think with the platforms like TikTok, things change so fast that you have to make it business as usual to keep things up to date. Not, oh yeah, we put a new product live now. Oh, we're supposed to get Frank, and Frank's supposed to take a different photo for TikTok. So I better email Frank, and then I'll have to resize that, and then we'll give it to Shirley who'll put it up on the website. And it's just like, it's got to be automatic. It's got to be business as usual. But I am going off on a tangent, and we haven't yet found out what Ben or Gisela think the biggest challenge with TikTok and TikTok Shop is. So you guys, would you agree? Would you disagree? Is there something else that you're seeing as challenging brands at the moment? Go Ben?
It sounded like you were speaking from experience there, Chloe.
I've spent the whole of this quarter building better systems. So yeah.
Do you know, can I go a bit rogue here and combine your one with Beth's question?
Yeah, we can bring Beth's up. Yeah. Let me get that one up on stage. So Beth asked a question diving in to Gisela's point about affiliates, which has recently found that TikTok affiliates want fees up front as well as a commission to start promoting products. So have they done it wrong? Are they going after the wrong affiliates? So Ben, what do you want to build on that one and the big challenges?
Well, it links well to what I think the biggest challenge in TikTok Shop in particular is this year, which is margin. Because when you factor in platform commission fees for TikTok Shop as a platform, not your econ, influencer costs, the creator commissions, advertising costs, because TikTok Shop isn't fully pay to play yet, but it's definitely heading in that direction. And then if you've got lives in the mix, that's production. And then if you've got a partner, which unless you're been doing TikTok Shop for a while now, you should probably get a partner because there's a lot of man hours that goes into it and a lot of expertise. So the hardest thing is margin. And my advice to anyone who's facing that challenge, and like when the costs start to add up, they realize that the bottom line isn't as healthy as the top line might show you. There's a couple ways to look at it. Okay, there's ways to play TikTok Shop so that you've got a really healthy profit margin. But my advice isn't to do that. It's to actually, and sorry, shameless plug here for Deepak, it's to pick up customers elsewhere from the activity that you're doing on TikTok Shop, because the brands have absolutely nailed it. They're not making much money. they're foregoing profit margin on TikTok Shop, and they're picking up customers there, and then they're getting sales elsewhere through retail, through their D2C, and they're okay with that because when you look at the entire P&L, it just makes sense. It just works, and we're seeing that with a lot of brands, and it's a conversation I have all the time. So it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity.
I love your take on that, Ben, and the margin issue, but it will work if you've actually got the whole business working right, which we seem to be something we're coming back to again and again. Gisela, your take on the biggest challenge with TikTok and TikTok Shop, is it margin? Is it systems? Is it the product? What's your take on this one?
It's quite a combination. I think that what Ben said is really on point. You need to know your margins before you jump into TikTok, and think about TikTok Shop as a place where you're gonna lower the friction for someone to buy your product. He's showing why someone should buy your product. Something that I can add to that, but I think that in most social media platforms, it's almost the same, is the fact that you need tracking. So we cannot rely on tracking anymore. So now more than ever, your content is crucial for you to win on social media platforms. And I think the TikTok Shop is an example of that, because you can do lives, you can advertise, and you can have organic content. And at the end is the combination of it that will bring you success, is testing and understanding what is best for you and for the business.
Love that answer. Thank you, Gisela. Right, I'm going to take us away from the slide deck for a minute, because I think we should go back to Beth's question, because it highlighted Ben's answer well, but we didn't really answer it. So I figure before Beth, you rightly storm off annoyed about that. Let's come back to it. Gisela, I'm going to throw this one to you, because you were the first one to bring up affiliates. So is this a very common development on TikTok affiliates, that it's not just about commission? People want an incentive to start putting the effort in. Is that what you're seeing elsewhere? It's not just Beth.
So what I've been seeing is that brands used to start with affiliates where they pay a percentage of the commission of the product they're selling. And then if that person works really well for them and sell lots of products, what they would do is starting working more with that person and give a little bit more percentage for them on those sales, so then they keep that influencer, that content creator in-house, let's say, working from them. But I don't know about any other fee other than that. I know that last year TikTok has increased the fee from the product itself, was 5%, and I think that went for 9%, but not about affiliates, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I can build on that. So definitely there is more of a culture we're seeing coming through of affiliates wanting to charge upfront fees, particularly the bigger ones. I'm not sure, Beth, if your TikTok Shop's in the US or the UK, but in the US it is. There's a much bigger culture of it, particularly for the top affiliates. In the UK, I would say you can still get access to a lot of affiliates. So I'm not sure where you're going wrong, but I definitely keep at it, because there's a ton of affiliates out there who will just promote on commission.
Presumably it's a case-by-case scenario, where if it's someone who is like your ideal avatar of an influencer to be an affiliate for your product, and they want a $5 to get started or £100 to get started, then it would be a no-brainer to go along with that, I guess. Okay, right, I want to take us back. We've had a question coming from Edward, who is our professional webinar attendee. I think Edward, if I've forgotten the phrase I used for you, please remind me. It's been a very long day, but very cool to have you here. Right, I wanted to come back and pose a question to Deepak, because I know you are talking to a lot of brands all the time. What is it that the brands care about TikTok and what they're getting stuck on at the moment?
I'll be using a very stupid one. One of the brands, they said, "Does TikTok work?" Right?
Yes.
It's just like, Ben, I'm sure you must have heard this question so many times, right? So to say, does it really work? And then I think on a serious note, what exactly they question most of the time, it's always been how our connectivity works with TikTok, right? I mean, how does the channel works? Do I get the one report for reconciliation? How the return works, the data, some of those things. But the funniest one was, does it work? And also, when the brand was, I don't want to take the name of the brand, but it was just in health and beauty kind of thing, right? So I was just thinking, how exactly you're thinking? But it'd been set up by some different demographic and all this stuff of things, because they're selling into a certain demographic, which is like 45 plus. And they said, do they have, because it's just always you can say that it's always a question that TikTok is only for 18 to 25, right? Not for, but I think when I attended one of the TikTok seminar, they talk about the 45 plus or 65 plus are now actually spending more time on TikTok as well. So I think that's still that I think there is a lot of education needs to be done in the brands who are selling into 45 plus or 55 plus, just to make sure that it does work, right? I always say it does work. There is no harm in trying that. Ben, your comment on this. You must have heard this question, does it work if you reaching out to a certain demographic?
Yeah, like all the time. I think, sorry, Chloe, I feel like I never actually answer your questions. I end up just like tangent, but
It's all right. This webinar series could be renamed e-commerce tangents, because I take us off on them as much as anyone else does. So these, my slides are purely to provoke discussion. So so Ben, take us off on another tangent.
Okay, I'll go for it. Now Deepak's got my brain going, because it's there's like a bank of questions I hear that rather than questions, they're more misconceptions. Like, TikTok's just for Gen Z. Well, my response to that is we had the menopause cream viral last year. What's the other ones? TikTok's just like a dancing app. That's still like, I feel like sometimes people's first impressions of things years ago, they stay in their minds and then they don't fully like realize that things have changed or moved on, and they just hold that first impression that they've got. So that's a common one that I get. That only works for certain product categories. Like, people think it only works for like beauty brands, or that you can't do like luxury on there, or you can't do like brands don't work. It's only like cheap stuff that sells. There's loads of stuff like that. So it's a ton of like misconceptions is the stuff that I hear most often.
And Gisela, your take on this one? What's the question you get asked most often?
So I think that is more like, it's similar to Deepak, but more like, does TikTok really sell, or is just for brand awareness? And I think that there falls into how the brands behave in platform more than what is the platform itself. So TikTok is not an app anymore, it's a culture, and you really need to understand the people that are in platform. So for example, if you're trying to sell something and then you just say, oh, look, here is my product, buy it, that's not gonna work. When if you be more if you're more empathetic with your audience, and then you come and you say like something, okay, so you, this audience, you have this problem, so I'm going into your world and I'm showing you something, so this is your problem, so let's talk about this product instead. Just showing your product like something that will fix and will help that person, instead of just a product. So so the question is, TikTok, yes, is a very good platform for sales as well, if the brands understand what the audience in the platform wants to see.
Got it. Okay, we've had a question in that relates somewhat to this from Edward, who is our webinar connoisseur. That was the word I used. Thank you for reminding me, Edward. So, does the panel feel we're in the Wild West phase of TikTok, as in it's very early with TikTok Shop and we are still learning, and as such, with the right support, there are massive wins available? Or is it now becoming more of a level playing field or balancing act in 2025, which I think really plays into, from all your answers to that last question, brands going, does it actually work? Does it this? It feels to me like the noise about TikTok suggests it's being used a lot more than it actually is being used, and therefore there's still some first mover advantage available. Is that what we're seeing? Gisela, you're nodding away, so I'll come to you for the first perspective on this. Where are we at?
So sorry, I always nod. Well, it's a hard one to say. I think that it's brands should try, depends on your margins, products, and if you're able to produce content. But if you have those ingredients, you should try TikTok and TikTok Shop specifically, because we see that more and more all social media platforms, and I will include YouTube on this as well, they are becoming more of a commerce platform than just social media. So that is something that will only grow. Is no way to go back on, just entertainment for pure entertainment. You go on YouTube, you see creators having an entertainment video or educational, and they start putting products into it. So it's just the way that you approach that type of content, approach the platform, and you propose your product. But I think that is the opportunity, and if you have the right product, again, you should try and you should start learning now.
Excellent. Ben?
Yeah, I think the amazing thing about both TikTok and TikTok Shop is it's really like democratized virality. Before, with like Instagram and YouTube in a sense, for sure, it took a long time to build a following, or you had to have a lot of spend behind you or a lot of brand power behind you already. It took an awfully long time. But both with like TikTok content and TikTok Shop, you can go viral like that. And that, by its very nature, is what TikTok is about. It's a strong part of it anyway. So I don't think we'll ever go back to that. Like, I think there's always going to be a level playing field to some extent. But on the flip side of that, the brands that were there early, they very much do dominate their spaces. And I think that's why it's so exciting that there's still so many markets to open up and that the platform's still evolving, which gives you opportunities to like be a winner and be in there early and enter while it's still the Wild West in some places. To cut a long story short, Edward, I don't think it's quite the Wild West anymore, but there's markets opening up. There's plenty of opportunities. The platform's changing. So if you're super tuned into the scene, there's always going to be opportunities. And TikTok, by its very nature, will always allow you a level playing field if you can get the content part of things right.
Nice. And Deepak, I know you spend a lot of time talking to the team TikTok and brands about TikTok. Do you think it's at a turning point this year, or is it still very much the new kid on the block?
It is. I mean, this is why we enter into the market, right? I mean, it's already dominating in Asia, in the East, right? And it's just picking up. And I still remember that putting this on in the style last year, and the revenue. I mean, they became straight away after a couple of weeks is becoming the number one player on TikTok, like sold out complete stock. So I think it's a really, really. I think it's a very good question. It depends, right? I mean, some of the brands who are in certain demographic, they should do it like fast fashion and all these type of things, health and beauty. But some of the demographic, they still like. I don't want to talk about this, Chloe, but you actually talk a lot about B2B, right? Does B2B organizations need to use TikTok, right? Like, because D2C completely understand, right? They have to. It's an elephant in the room. What about B2B, like Chloe? Because we actually manage both sides.
I'm endlessly trying to work that one out myself. I had a long chat with Ben about it last year, because I was getting stuck on do we create a handle for eCommerce MasterPlan and one for Keep Optimizing and one for eCommerce Tech? Ben strongly advised me not to. I'm still thinking it's a good idea. Why I'm not listening to Ben, I don't know. But I still don't have a work TikTok handle. I think there's a space for it. In B2B e-commerce, I'm not so sure. I think it depends on the product and who you're selling to. If you're selling stationery to small businesses, or you're selling products to hair salons, then I would imagine there's more of a space than if you're trying to sell massive servers to data warehouses. It's a tricky one. I want to take us to one of the questions that came in really early, because Anna asked this one, which is kind of fits into me getting confused about what accounts we should or shouldn't have. Should we do founder and personal accounts, so Chloe in charge of XYZ, before we do the brand account with a limited budget, or where do you go? So if you've got, I guess I would read between the lines of Anna's question. This is a bit like on LinkedIn, a personal profile gets more visibility than a page. On Facebook, a personal profile gets more visibility than a page. What's the answer on this one, Ben?
I would say it depends. So the advice I gave you last year still holds true. For you, I would be building personal brand because I think people will connect that to you more as an educator. But if Anna has a product business, physical product business, I would say build the brand with you as the face of it, build the brand account. Because if you look at the top brands on TikTok, like let's take Made by Mitchell, hopefully some or most of you know that huge makeup brand, led by Mitchell Halliday, I think his name is. He's the face of the brand, but it's still a brand. P. Louise, now one of the biggest makeup brands in the UK. Paige Lee's the founder, face of the brand, but it's still a brand. That's my two answers, and that's my take on it.
So do both, basically. Have a brand account, but put yourself on it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. If I was building a product business, I would still build the brand itself with me as the founder at the face of it. But if I was doing what you were doing, Chloe, I would do Chloe Thomas.
She says as she desperately tries to get her own branding further away from things. But anyway, Gisela, would you say the same thing, or would you take a different take on this one?
I think that depends on the approach, but I would always encourage people to have more personal content instead of just brand content in there. And that's something that I love doing for my clients, which is called whitelisting. So basically you advertise the product under personal profiles, influencer profiles, and not brand, just because people trust people and not so much brands. So that's a great opportunity. And I think that even with the rising of more video content in platforms, having people advertising your product instead of your brand itself, talking about it all the time, makes a huge difference and builds trust. So I think both, where the brand would talk more about the product, but you would have also the founder profile talking about the founder journey, the benefits, the problems, how do they get to that product, and reviews and sharing testimonials and other stuff. So I think both is quite important nowadays. You're on mute, Chloe.
Oh, thank you. Knew it was going to happen sooner or later. At least somebody knows I'm on mute. So awesome answers from our panelists so far. Those of you watching, you know by now there is a huge amount of knowledge sitting on this screen available to answer your questions. So we've still got time to maybe fit in one or two more questions from you over and above what we've already got. So get your questions in ASAP if you want a chance to get them answered. We've had a tech stack based question come in. So I'm going to fire this one to you, Deepak,
Yes.
in the first instance. Lindsay asks, what are your suggestions on tracking product GMV, inventory management and orders across TikTok Shop, and hell, let's talk about e-commerce in general? So I guess what is the tech stack? And you were touching on this earlier, Deepak, but what's the tech stack we need? What key parts do we need within this to make it easy to be adding these new channels? Because the world of social commerce is only going to mean we're going to be adding more things and testing more things.
Absolutely. I think from our recommendation has always been that it should be directly integrated rather through a different channels. All right. I mean, people are using different apps to connect to TikTok Shop. Try to use a platform, either us or some other platforms who actually have a direct integrations, so that you will be able to get the data in and out, right? I mean, we have a very good integration into TikTok. And I think the most important one is the source of truth, whether you do not have an e-commerce, but at least have an inventory management solution. If you're selling into Amazon or if you're selling into eBay or different marketplaces, and TikTok is one of the channels. So you need to make sure that there is one source of truth. Otherwise, you'll be managing shipping in a different ways. You'll not be able to see the returns. How do you do the returns? How do you get the data? What is the data? How would you optimize the data? A lot of things will be a mess. So I think the first step is, where do you want to manage what is the one source of truth? It can be an e-commerce platform, which is the best way to start. Doesn't cost a lot. Nowadays starts from $29 to up to a different, but I think that can have different direct integrations into different channels, and you can grow the business like that.
So get the right hub for your platform first, and then start adding the other pieces
Absolutely.
on as you need them.
I mean, I think it's just like a house, right? You can't build a loft without a core.
Yeah.
So I think if you start building the loft, then I just don't know how exactly it's going to stand up on a different bricks or a different kind of layers. But you need to make sure the solid foundation is there, and then you can keep on building that, right? If a solid foundation is not there, then it's going to break one day, and then might be a $10 billion company, and then you'll just go back because you're not managing the data well.
Got it. Very cool. Gisela, Ben, anything you want to add in to that answer? I thought Deepak pretty much had it nailed, but anything else? Yeah, we're saying Deepak's done good there. Okay, cool. So who's our next question? I love it. There's an entire consultancy going on in the comments between Anna and Ben at the moment. So well done for keeping those comments coming in, Anna. Next one we've got is probably one to chuck even at Gisela and Ben. Are the user demographics changing on TikTok? Are they changing by country or region? So I guess this comes back to what Deepak, you were saying earlier about brands thinking it wasn't the place for them and that their customers weren't there, but they actually are. Ben, your take on this? Is there a big platform shift on the go?
I would say it's gradually happening. Nothing like ultra dynamic. I think the big shift happened maybe about 4 years ago. It was very much Gen Z, and then it was widespread across like age demographics. But now it's just a case of like other categories kind of catching up. So I think Deepak alluded to it earlier, but 65 plus by percentile is one of the fastest growing demographics in the UK. People have more free time in their hands when they're a bit older, so it makes a ton of sense, and they're spending it on TikTok. I got some interesting up-to-date stats last week as well when I was at TikTok. So there's now 36 million monthly active users in the UK, which is about half the population, which I think is crazy. Because if you think about how many people aren't monthly active users but still use it, it's a decent chunk of all of us are on TikTok now. And they 2.5x their commerce growth last year as well, which I think is crazy for a fourth year of trading to still be seeing that kind of growth.
That is quite bad. And there wasn't any core functionality launched in 2024, was there? Shop was around in 2023 just, I think, wasn't it? It came online in like Q3, didn't it? Yeah. So that's quite impressive for no huge launch, because affiliates, creators and shop were already around the whole
they've
year.
been, I think 2021 I think was TikTok Shop's like beta launch, and maybe 2022. And I think it's 21, because 22 is when I started on the platform. So no new products or anything, just slight tweaks to the current product, and seeing that kind of level of growth, which is just crazy.
Cool. Oh God, now see, I told you all to ask your questions early, and now you're firing questions at me with almost only 15 minutes to go. How do you expect me to get these answered? I mean, really? I've got a really interesting one I wanted to bring up about video as well. Anyway, love the fact you're giving this. Here we go. Sam, you don't need to apologize for chucking in a question. I'm just trying to change your behaviors, but I love the fact you're asking questions. So let's go to Sam's question. Any platforms, and Deepak, I'd be interested in your take on this. Any platforms on the other end of it? So we've talked about the product and the inventory to manage influencers and creators on TikTok. Because I know a lot of people try and do it on TikTok itself, but you can use other tech. So anyone you've come across who's doing this well, Deepak? Or is it I love the shake of the head and the tut going on there.
It's a tough one, because the reason is that because we have our own platform where we can actually get all the influencers based on the fashion vertical and health and beauty from a global into our platform. And then you can easily decide, do you want to connect to these influencers on our platform and start having a dialogue on the platform, right? I mean, like, we are very advanced on the social side because of the Asian growth. The founding created by the kind of Asian founders. So I think, what they have realized is that there should be one place you can manage all the influencers, and they kept it on e-commerce platform, right? So, but where exactly you manage? I mean, from our perspective, if I look into this, you can go into SHOPLINE, you can select fashion, and you can see like 10,000 influencers And then you can also categorize how many followers do they have, and you can follow them, connect them, and all these type of things, and agree on their rates. And then you can just start interacting with them through one platform.
Nice. So if you're on SHOPLINE, Sam, it's really easy because it's already in the system for you.
Yes.
If you're not on SHOPLINE, Ben, Gisela, any software you'd recommend? Or is it a tricky one? You're both looking very quiet.
No, it's fine. Well, it's a hard one. I think that there are lots of partners nowadays that would take this work from founders, let's say, from brands itself, and would take in-house, which in my perspective, I think is great, because usually those partners, let's call it that, they know what performs on the platform. They build content for that performs, instead of just the brand guessing and choosing an influencer and telling the influencer what they need to film, or putting all that together. So I think there are quite a few. I don't think I can say the name, but there are quite a few partners that you can find, that you can work with, that will contact the influencers, we'll brief them, we'll tell them exactly what to do, we'll send the products, we'll get the content, we'll work on the content, and we'll send you just for approval. And that's great, and that is growing quite a lot, because it's much easier for brands to work this way. You're on mute.
Again,
Damn it again. Sorry, everybody. Should have eaten more chocolate before coming on this. Right. I wanted to ask you all about this question, which was posed on one of my LinkedIn posts about this earlier this month, which was Irim asking, would love to hear the thoughts of the panel on the growth of video commerce driven by TikTok Shop, but also expanding to e-com digital stores. How is video changing the way we shop? What's your take on this? So kind of just to generally put up the idea of video, what should we be doing with our video? Because it feels to me like I will come to an actual question for you to answer in a second, I promise. But it feels like TikTok is massively changing consumer behavior around video, and therefore video needs to become a bigger part of our general day-to-day e-commerce activity. Is that what you're saying? Should we now make sure we've taken the inspiration of TikTok to put it on our website, to put it in other channels? Who's Deepak? You up for this one? Got an opinion on video?
I think I remember my old days. I mean, I'm old. I when YouTube launched, I was working for a company. We actually launched video commerce in 2008. Think about this thing, and we are talking about video commerce now, but in 2008, I had my first video commerce to buy insurance from, I don't want to take the brand name, but you can go into YouTube, and the uptake was 180% conversion uplift, right? And the insurance company had to stop that campaign because they've never had any campaign delivered this much ROI, right? So they were shocked in 2008. So now I think when I talk about video conference, it's just about the bandwidth, how exactly, because we are actually working on we are fully integrated into video technology onto our platform. You can do all the purchases, but it's going to take off. But I still think that it's going to take a little bit of time because of the internet connectivity issues and all those challenges which we face. Ben, do you agree? Or might be on TikTok would be good, right? But not on the commerce platform that I was on right now.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and it's such an interesting evolution of what we've seen, like Deepak said about YouTube. So I think we went through this stylized content phase where it was almost like we were making online adverts for a while, and then Instagram kind of carried through that. And TikTok came, and I think Gary Vee coined the term. I don't know if it was him that actually said it first, but the TikTokification of everything, which has carried this tremendous impact through all of commerce. And people, I think the biggest impact that we've seen from that, and why video plays such an important role now, is people are demonstrating products in real world situations in like a totally natural way, in a non-forced way, and it's super low production. And I think that makes people want to buy it more. I think that's part of the power of TikTok Shop is Like you see someone that looks like you, talks like you, acts like you, because there's thousands of pieces of content and the algorithm's good at giving you that, using a product in the same way that you're likely to be using it. It's just so easy to envision yourself and put it in and see it becoming a part of your life, essentially. So I think that's like, there's so much you could go into in this area, but I think that's such a impactful part of what has happened through the evolution of video commerce.
Gisela, you obviously are working with video too. Do you see your clients wanting to take it into every aspect of e-commerce now?
I think so, and it's something that we also recommend. And the reason why is basically video shorten the path for someone to convert, because you're seeing the product in action. It's just not anymore static browsing. You are interacting with product. You see the product, you see how it works, and you can imagine the benefits of that bring into your life. And video brings that storytelling, that connection that sometimes an image is much harder to get, or just going to the website, seeing product description is not the same. So, for example, we have clients that let's say they sell ear cuffs, and then you're seeing people using, styling it, how they use it. Feels like you are connecting, you want that, when just an image you would see and it would say, oh, okay, that's nice, and then you would scroll past. So video has that power to connect people and show the product in action, and I think that is something that is amazing for all brands.
Yeah, so we're definitely on the video train here, be fair to say. Right, I've just been deliberating whether or not to ask Edward's question, second question, and then still do our wrap-up question. I think I'm going to do it. So you guys are going to be ready to give me some like 30-second answers to this one, okay? Because I'm going to come to all three of you, which is how do you see TikTok and TikTok Shop evolving? What's coming up that's on our radar? What's likely to happen? Let's give it like a 6-12 month time span, just to put some kind of structure around it. Deepak looks like he's in thinking mode, as does Ben. You're both busy scratching beards, so literally in scratchy beard moment. Gisela, your quick take on this one first, please.
I think that is a little bit, as we said before, shorten the path to conversion. So more video content, more shoppable content, and the ones that will work will be the ones that really connects and engage with the audience. So my answer would say moving into a marketplace offering, yes, but those brands that will win, they will connect with the audience more than just show the product.
Got you. Ben?
Okay, I'm going to do a very quick story, and I promise it's not like me forcing in a brag or something here. But I was speaking to the head of TikTok Shop for Europe last week, and he told me a story. He lived in China, where TikTok Shop originates from, that on the streets in China, outside shops, they're giving away like free product samples just for downloading Douyin Shop to then go and buy on the app. So where I think we're heading is this kind of blend of TikTok Shop and retail and live commerce all coming into one. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see it happen before our eyes.
Ooh, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that was name dropping at all, Ben. I think that just proves your expertise. Deepak, what do you see happening with TikTok and TikTok Shop in the relatively near future?
I think I'm just still questioning again. Nobody asked the question about AI. Like Chloe, did you deliberately send a message to every attendee to say not talk about AI?
It's very strange. We rarely talk about it on here. It's quite intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason is that because my view is that everything would be managed by an AI in the near future in terms of the merchandising, how exactly you need to present the product. That's coming, and I just think that how you need to position the product, the images, and all these type of things. So I think that's where I think the future of TikTok and AI would be. But I'm not, as I say, I'm very closer to this, but I'm very surprised that nobody asked the question. But I wanted to actually, this is a big question about what AI and TikTok, like what is the big thing coming? Ben, you are closer to TikTok team. What do you think? What they're working on, right?
We've got 30 seconds if you want to give an opinion on that, Ben.
Well, they just launched GMV Max. It's been out in the US for a while, and it just launched in the UK, which is an automated ad solution where it pulls the ad creative for you. They've got an AI product optimizer. So it's definitely there. I just think there's always going to be elements that need human creativity. So that's my
the ultimate "it depends" answer there, I think, from Ben.
Yes.
What I would like to do next is to ask each of you the very last question of this session, which is, we have covered a whole host of stuff. We've missed a whole load of stuff, as Deepak just pointed out, with the AI angle on it all. What would your final takeaway be for the audience? You've got about 1 minute each to give me this. I'm going to start with Gisela, then go to Ben, and then come to Deepak last. So Gisela, your final takeaway for the audience on this, please. What should they be thinking about most?
When you come to TikTok, think that TikTok as a culture is not just an app. Connect with your audience, but connect genuinely, and treat your comment sessions on everything like your place to really be there for your customers and potential customers.
Love that. Culture, not just a platform. Ben?
Yeah, I like that, and it kind of ties into what I was going to say, which is like, you should take your work seriously, but life's supposed to be silly, and TikTok's a silly place for silly people, so don't be afraid to be a bit silly with the things that you do.
And anyone who wants to see what that might look like, go and check out. But Ben, what is your Instagram handle where you do the crazy boss thing?
To be fair, we're
Or
evolving.
TikTok handle, anyway.
We're evolving right now, but if you want to follow us, it's at We Are Unsocialble, and we are coming back with a bang in the coming weeks with some new content, so stay tuned.
Interesting. Very cool. I can't believe I said Instagram handle there. That was shocking of me on a TikTok webinar. Apologies, everybody. Last but very much not least, Deepak, your final thought for the audience, please.
I think just remember that the people who are on TikTok are human beings, and they do have emotions. And so please treat them. Don't force. It's better to give them the experience, and they're going to buy, right? I think we generally tend to miss out on these to just show a lot of discounts, £5 and all these type of things. I would rather treat them and give the experience which you actually feel that will actually connect. Because TikTok is a place where people spend more time because they just want to connect. And I think that's the connectivity is missing when you start using TikTok Shop. It's becoming very transactional, and transaction only happens when you connect with them at the emotional level. So I think I would say TikTok is an emotional commerce. That would be a big statement, Chloe, for next webinar.
I think, yeah, but I think you're completely right, and I think that actually plays into what you were talking about with AI, in that we let the AI and the automation deal with the inventory and the crunchy spreadsheety stuff, and then we put, as Ben was saying, the humanity element into the content we produce and how we then actually do the connections on it all. So I think that was a brilliant thought to end this with. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our panelists for being here. You've all been awesome. I'm going to let you go and kind of relax in the green room now whilst I bring up this to show you all, because this has been awesome talking about TikTok and TikTok Shop. I hope you've got loads of it in. I know a lot of you have really stuck around and you've been very active in the chat as well. So thank you for being here for it. Huge thanks to TikTok Ads and to SHOPLINE for being the sponsors of this one. Thank you, Dennis. Glad you enjoyed the session. And we will be doing this again next month, not on TikTok. We're going to be doing conversion rate optimization. Not just A/B testing, but the whole process. So expect plenty about product and whole company and messaging and branding going on in that one. And then in May, we will be doing tech stack optimization. And then after that, we'll be doing sustainability for growth, including re-commerce. You can sign up to all three of those right now via the website, which you will find in the same place it is, well, where you are right now watching this. But if you're watching the replay, head to webinar.ecommerceexplored.com if you're catching this on YouTube, and you can sign up for whatever we've got coming up. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. And I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.